right at the very outset, your first thoughts when you heard that the legendary Milkha Singh had passed away?
Hi Rajdeep, you're most welcome. I'm just overcome with many different emotions at the same time. Um, it's an incredible loss for India as a people, for sport, for his family, of course, for his friends, and for me personally. Um, I try to tell myself that he did uh, lead a long life. He lived till the age of 91. So it was a nice full life, and um, to his credit, he built a life for himself that was filled with love, filled with happiness, filled with surrounded by people who loved him and cared for him deeply, and that he could love and care for deeply. And I just feel very honored to have been a part of his journey. At the end of it all, that's what my takeaway from it is, that I got this wonderful opportunity to spend this time with him, to just listen to him, to um, see him with people, to see him with his family, to see what a wonderful person he was. There was a lot to learn from him, not just as an athlete, but as a human being. And that's what I take away. That I feel very blessed to have had this opportunity and these moments of time with him.
I saw your Instagram post, Farhan, a very warm, emotional Instagram post where you say that Milkha Singh's story was a constant source of inspiration and a reminder of humility in success. And you say you've touched all our lives. What was it about the Milkha Singh story, or indeed your interactions with Milkha Singh at a personal level, that struck you most about him?
Um, of course, his humility, his sense. He had a sense of humor. He was self-deprecating, yet at the same time he had a tremendous amount of pride. And he wore his status of legend. Really, he wore it very lightly. It didn't weigh heavily on him. Everywhere he went, I saw how people were around him, people touching his feet, people wanting him to bless them. I remember when he first came onto the track that I was training on. That's the very first time that I ever met him. He came dressed in his track pants and his jogger top, and we ran a little 400 meters together. And there were these athletes who were there from Maharashtra Police, who were training on that ground, and they all came there. And for me, honestly, that was the first time I really got a glimpse into what he means to other sports people. Because for them to meet him, for him to put his hand on their head, on their back, and say, "Bacche, acha karo, hard work karo," and bless them. It made their day, and I think it just gave them an impetus to go out and be better athletes and do better. So it really, the fact that I don't think fully understood what he meant to people around him uh, was just amazing to see. He wore his status of being a sporting legend and being someone who was so inspiring for everyone around him. He wore that very, very lightly.
And the interesting thing, Farhan, is of course your movie comes, what, more than 50 years after that famous run of Milkha Singh at the 1960 Rome Olympics. And you
Yeah.
rediscovered him, as I said, for an entire generation. But what you're telling us, that even the athletes of the 21st century that you saw were venerating Milkha 50 years later.
Oh, they absolutely were. The thing is that all of us have known, including me, till I was introduced to his background, and till I was introduced to what made him him, via the story that Rakesh brought me. I knew him as a name, and I knew him as this legend of who's the epitome of hard work. And if you want to succeed, and especially in athletics, because our athletics teacher in school was Punjabi, so he would take Milkha Singh's name all the time when we slacked up in our PT class. So it was a name, so like I've heard his name, and like I've kind of been inspired to do better in sport by hearing his name over and over again. I'm sure athletes across the ages have. But when you meet the man, and when you see how down to earth, how humble, how loving, how warm, how no matter how busy he may actually be, that he will take time to sit with everyone for those 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and ask them about their lives. And just he's interested in people, and he was touching everybody's life in a very, very special way. So that was it was really good
And
to see that side of him.